So in 1989, the people imagined the world in 2000 to have moving houses, flying cars, and robotics. And now we know that half of this stuff is not quite true. Now what we see is that towards 2050, the world is facing overconsumption, right? Just 2 weeks ago in Madrid, the United Nations Secretary General was saying that we may pass the point of no return in terms of the climate change fight very soon if the world does not quickly come together and act. And it is not a matter of satire anymore, because the BBC actually crystallizes the 10 most significant challenges that mankind is facing towards 2050. And that involves some very out-of-the-world challenge, such as humans settling down in Mars, to some very practical concerns such as AI dominating our world and robots taking over people. So how is it that technology can help us make lives better and not the other way around, where we are building a world that is being destroyed by the very technology that we are being built? So we have the belief that deep tech can be designed for good, and how should it be done, right? Deep tech is very quickly, to us, science-intensive technologies that take a long time to be built, that take significant capital to be developed, and the go-to-market pathway is a lot longer, and therefore there are a lot fewer players at the deep tech space compared to the normal general tech, if I may. And to be more specific, SGInnovate is set up to do just that. So Singapore has had enough of the e-commerce or fintech investors and supporters, and when we were set up, we want to be the deep tech development company. We want to work with scientists and researchers to tackle the very hard problems that the world is facing. To us, deep tech means artificial intelligence that is applied across various industries such as healthcare, transportation, financial services, smart manufacturing, and so on. That is quantum technologies, a very quickly emerging field, and very, very sensitive field that the US, China, Germany, Australia, and now Singapore is investing billions of dollars to master and to own before the like of, I don't know, North Korea gets hold of it. And of course, medical technologies that could make lives better, allow us to live longer over the real time. Why deep tech? This is a McKinsey Global Institute study. I'm not sure whether you can see it clearly, but in November 2018, they take a look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals that were announced in 2015, right? So there were 19 goals towards 2030, how the world should focus on eliminating poverty, achieve zero hunger, all the way to good health and well-being, achieve peace, justice, security for all. So there are 19 of them, and McKinsey actually took a global scan of the world. They identified 120 plus use cases for AI that are classified according to each of these development goals. So there is a very real study that shows the power that AI can be put to achieving sustainable good for society. Of course, you can see that the most number of use cases have been focused on achieving good health and well-being. The like of life below water, there's only one use case back then, but given how the ocean is increasingly becoming a very, very big part of our livable world, we expect that life below water, as well as affordable and clean energy, are coming up a lot more than usual. So what drives deep tech for good? We know that AI, blockchain, can all be put to good use, right? But what helps to encourage and incentivize entrepreneurs to build such solutions for the world? We realize that how we are using data and data analytics algorithms to improve business outcomes is a very tactical business question. But what is more important is how it is that countries, leaders could actually use these tools to affect the future of our societies and economy in a very strategic way. That is what matters. This heat map shows what every country in the world that has published an AI national strategy is focusing on, all the way from Australia to Canada and the US. A lot of the European economies are represented here. And from Asia, we can see Japan, India, Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan are being represented. What is clear is that every single country that has an AI strategy focuses on research and industrial strategy. A few are starting to pay attention to the future of work, how AI could actually replace people and result in job losses. And they are also thinking about how the bottom of the pyramid, the people who are most easily displaced by people, should be taken into account when we are building AI solutions. And surprisingly, a lot of countries are also paying attention to the ethics of AI. Ethics is a global consideration, but it is difficult to achieve because ethics to China would be very different from the sense of ethics to the US. I think just now Eklim was saying that if we want to talk about data privacy, the idea of data privacy in the West is very different from what it is that we think about in China, and Singapore would have a different approach ourselves. So we believe that AI on its own would not be able to be the one and for all tool to achieve social good. AI is only a technology tool. If we are not able to take into the social aspects, the social considerations, and the unintended consequences from applying the data sets that we have in building AI, it would not allow us to actually build a better world that we are designing to. So this is a very good piece of opinion about how AI for good is often turning out to be bad because it doesn't take into account the root causes of the problems that is solved. If we rely entirely on data to design solutions, right? So for example, this is Intel's solution to help monitor the movement of elephants in Africa so that poachers are not able to, say, catch these elephants, get their ivories, and get into the smuggling business. However, the tool failed because AI and data, the data of elephants' movement, what time it is that the poachers are most active and so on, are not taking into account the fact that there's corruption in these African countries. And the corrupt officials are actually part of the equation that these AI tools do not take into account. And so even though the AI is being designed for good, it fails to actually achieve its intended purpose. So we believe that when we now start to invest in AI companies, we take an additional dimension of whether or not the ethics and the social inclusion aspect of these AI tools are already being taken into account. We believe that for AI tools and for deep tech tools in general to be widely adopted, the people need to be able to trust these AI systems. If they do not understand how the AI algorithm could reach a particular decision, it is very difficult for anyone to actually trust that, hey, the AI machine is telling me that I have a heart condition. How should I be able to take that to a heart specialist to get my treatment if I don't know how the AI tool is actually coming up with that particular consideration? So explainable AI, AI that people can trust, is at the core of how AI technology could be built for good. So leadership in AI and data governance is important, and this must be done at the national government level. Singapore, earlier this year, actually has been recognized as among the first countries in the world to have a model AI and data governance framework. That is being spearheaded by the Ministry of Communication and Information, which governs the 23 industry development roadmap that Eklim was sharing earlier. In addition, we, SGInnovate, is also working with the Monetary Authority of Singapore to help build a set of toolkit for the financial services industry in order for them to define what is AI ethics, what is AI fairness, as they develop their tools for fraud detection, for insurance claims, and so on and so forth, that are being increasingly applied in a smart city. At the community level, we believe that there needs to be a strong ecosystem centered around AI for good and ethics of technologies. So we've been building this with our partners in particular, the UNDP. The UNDP has actually just set up a global center for technology, innovation, and sustainable development in Singapore. We have a strategic partner to build a very strong ecosystem around technology and sustainability with our UNDP partner. This involves a series of community building events, also an innovation challenge that focuses on food technology and food tech, how it is that we can feed almost 9 billion people in a sustainable way is of crucial consideration. We are also looking at AI for Good programs that would be launched sometime in the first quarter of 2020. And that will be the very first program that Asia is seeing. And if you happen to be in Singapore on the 10th of December, we are having another UNDP event on the topic of science and technology for sustainable development. Our interest in Vietnam ranges across the board, and I think technology for good is one of them. We have an MOU with the Ministry of Planning and Investment to build deep tech innovation and entrepreneurship in Vietnam. We also are working very closely with Kimiko and the team at YellowBlocks to build the deep tech ecosystem from the ground up. And we hope that increasingly more of our conversation could be centered around this topic of technology and deep tech for good in general. And with this, I hope that we can all walk away from today's conversation from smart cities with a lot of different angles and perspectives from the various speakers. Thank you very much.